Who do you think has had the biggest impact on how you feel about yourself, how you think about yourself? It is Mentor Week, the very first pillar of the Our Raw Material Thoughtful Practice. I am Tavish Cardiff, here to talk about the practice itself, give a little guidance, and help us each understand ourselves better. A little more self-awareness, a little better communication, and a little self-healing goes a long way towards feeling a lot better in our mind-body connection. Mentors Week kicks us off. We identify, by making a list, the people that have had the most influence on how we see things in the world. Personally, my list has a couple of people on it that I don't even know their names. It's just a situation that made a difference in how I see things. And those moments stay on my list, even though the negative ones don't have the impact they used to. The stories themselves help me remember how I got to be where I am and what has led me to my own personal passion and purpose. Mentors, and the flip side, tormentors, are the people who influence us. It may not be our choice, it may not be people that we seek out for their knowledge, but somehow their impact hits and hits hard. In our younger years, and I break my list up so that I'm seeing, let's say, the first 15 or 16 years, and then maybe the next 5 or 10, a decade at a time. However your life tends to break out for you, make that list based on that. I like to just write names, not a situation, not the lesson, not anything like that. Just go through, hit a list of names, and then go back through and watch what those names do to your feelings. Watch how your heart gets bigger or smaller, your own posture gets bigger or smaller, your breathing gets rapid or slow based on what you're thinking about as it relates to these people who have had influence on you. If someone's had a significant influence, go ahead and put an M by their name, and we're going to call them mentors. But it really doesn't matter. The exercise itself is what's important. Touching on these people who have had an effect on us and recognizing how and why they had that effect. Sometimes we hold things that happen to us in a tiny little moment that weren't even intended by the person who created them. And I think this exercise catches a lot of those moments because we can go back and look at situations that made us feel a certain way, but with the perspective of time and distance, puts us into a space that can see it more clearly and maybe let go of the thing that initially triggered us. What this all does, identifying our mentors, is teaches us how to learn the things that trigger us. So when we know what means a lot to us and what bothers us, it puts us in the position to effectively watch ourselves react. And so many of us have been taught that reactions have a time and place. And the reality is, what the things that we try to do have a time and place. And here's people walking in the house. No matter what, there are people that show up in our lives and influence the way that we feel about life itself or feel about ourselves. When we go back and check whether those people actually have the power to influence us now, we can start to untangle some of the things that have bothered us for so many years. We start to see where we get triggered, how we get triggered, and how far back those triggers really go compared to what's happening in real time. It's fascinating, it's interesting, and it leads us straight to the things that are important to us. So, if there's anything more important to human beings than ourselves and the people we care about, I don't know what it is. Our raw material gives us a practice, a framework, and a thought pattern to find common ground with the people that we love, to find common space to breathe within ourselves so that we can allow and accept some of the things that bother us while giving them the grace to breathe, move forward, and find their purpose, find the reason for being here. The exercise for this week is, of course, the mentors list. Get it started or pick it back up and finish some part that you hadn't done. I usually start it over every couple of years just to see how I recollect the same situations or not, or even bring up new ones. And it's always fascinating to revisit a train of thought mentor list because these thoughts lead to memories and other thoughts that lead us into the things that we've repressed or simply just forgotten. Starting with the pillar of mentors, we will spend the next 4 weeks in the personal area of our raw material: mentors, music, food, and ignorance, taking a look at that specific raw material that makes each one of us uniquely ourselves. As we explore these 12 weeks, we spend the first 4 in the personal weeks, checking out the very rawest of the raw material, the places where these triggers develop. And then the next 4, we get into the more how we relate to other people. And beyond that, how we set up the things that we want, how we get what we want, and how we start to manifest. So it gets more fun as we go. And I invite and encourage anyone and everyone to dip into this practice at any point that you can and want to. Your input is valuable and welcome at any time, and any thoughts that go to this practice help grow it for the future. I am Tavish Cardiff. I appreciate your interest and effort and look forward to seeing you next week for Music Week.